Hello, and welcome to the Posts About Ghosts podcast. I'm your co-host, Chellemo, and with me, as always, I have Aidy. Hi, Aidy.
Hello.
So, we have an awesome episode in store for you guys this week. We are going to be talking about the Black Forest in Germany, which is also known by its German name. Here we go.
Yeah.
Schwarzwald. Now, they say the trees are so thick there that very little sunlight penetrates the ground below. So I'm wondering if that's where the name Black Forest comes from. But I do not know for sure. If anyone does know, send us a message and let us know if that's where it came from. Anyway, this forest has a long history in folklore with stories of ghosts and witches and even werewolves. It's the home of a manifestation that has documented witnesses called the Wild Hunt. Aidy, why don't you start this thing off by telling our listeners what the Wild Hunt is?
Okay, right. And before I get going on this, I'm going to slaughter some names in this.
Of course, it's what we do.
So it's what we do, but I will do my best. So bear with me.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. So the Wild Hunt is folklore which occurs across various northern, western and eastern European societies, including Germanic, Celts and Slavs. The hunt is typically led by a mythological figure, such as Odin, and is escorted by a ghostly or a supernatural entourage of hunters. The concept was developed by Jacob Grimm in his Deutsche Mythology. I'm pretty certain I've got that one right. Okay, so here we go.
Well, at least it wasn't me. I would have said douche.
Well, yeah, it's definitely Deutsche. I know that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this is where it's going to go wrong because, of course, it's across so many different regions in Europe, and it's known as different things. They couldn't all just call it the Wild Hunt.
I know, right?
That would be so much easier. Now, the English one, I'm going to be okay with. The US one, definitely going to be okay with. But there is going to be some in here that I know I'm going to destroy. So I apologise if we have any listeners from those countries or speak those languages. I'm going to apologise in advance. So here we go. So we'll start with German folklore. And in German folklore, it is known as the Wildjagd. Now, I might have destroyed that, but that's what I'm going with, which is Wild Hunt in German. Apparently.
It is.
Yeah. Or, good God, the Wutendes here. Now, I probably slaughtered that as well, but it means raging host or army. Now, the phrase hunt is used in the more northern German region and host in southern Germany.
Right.
As a rule, there's no line of delineation. It's just generally in those areas. So now we'll go on to one that I should be able to pronounce better, which is in England. It's, of course, because the English are what we are. We have various different names for the same thing. It is known as Hurler's Assembly, which I probably mispronounced, but I don't care. Woden's Hunt, Herod's Hunt, Cain's Hunt, Devil's Dandy Dogs, which is my favourite. That sounds like a 1980s post-punk New Romantics band, and Gabriel's Hounds, which also sounds a bit like a 1980s New Romantics band. So there you go. That's I imagine it's not just England, it's probably the UK. In the United States, it's referred to as Ghost Riders. There you go.
Ghost Riders in the sky?
Well, yes. Well, it's funny you should say that. We'll get to that one in a bit. In Scandinavia, it is, and I'm not even going to begin to try and pronounce the Scandinavian words for this, but it's known as the Asgard Ride and Odin's Hunters.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I bottled that one completely, but they had the English translation, so that's what I'm going with for that. In the Netherlands and Flanders, which is the northern Belgium area, it is known as Book Riders. And we get to the Welsh. This is where I live. I'm not too far from Wales, where I live, so this is where I get hunted down, no doubt. In Welsh folklore, Gwyn ap Nudd is depicted as a wild huntsman accompanied by a pack of dogs of hell. So there's reference, one can link it to that. In France, it's known in Latin as Familia Heliquini. In the Slavic regions, it's known as the Wild Hunt. Again, I bottled that one completely. In Italy, here we go, it's known as Caccia Morta, the Dead Hunt, or Caccia Infernale, the Infernal Hunt. Now, again, I'm hoping that's how you say Caccia. I think it is. I think double C is pronounced like that in Italian, but I couldn't tell you for certain. And then anyway, we have Spain. I'm going to try. What this means, Old Army, right? But Oeste Antigua. That's about as good as that's going to get.
Now, I don't know about Spain, but as you know, I studied Spanish in college, and their H's are silent. It'd be Oeste.
So it'd be Oeste Antigua.
Oeste.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll go with that. So, getting back to the Wild Hunt, the sighting of the Wild Hunt was thought to be a bad omen. It could be interpreted as a sign of a catastrophic event or major disaster, as well as having some personal issues for whoever witnesses it. So it could actually be, if you see it yourself, it could be for you. And yeah, so not great to see this thing. Now, an example of this. Now, when I was researching the article, they did say it was an example of a disaster, but they didn't actually go on to specify what the disaster was, which is not very useful. But however, in Britain, there was an example of the appearance of the Wild Hunt as far back as 1127, following the appointment of an abbot at a monastery in Peterborough. And this was detailed in the Peterborough Chronicle as follows. So bear with me because this is from 1127.
Okay.
All right, so many men both saw and heard a great number of huntsmen hunting. The huntsmen were black and hideous and rode black horses and on black he-goats. That's what it said, by the way, he-goats.
Right. He-goats, okay.
Yeah.
If anyone knows, send us a message.
Well, yeah, or don't. And their hounds were jet black with eyes like saucers and horrible. This was seen in the very deer park of the... I don't know, why would they say the very deer park? They don't mean deer as in affectionate. They mean a park where deer exist. That's how it's spelled, D-E-E-R, not D-E-A-R. This was seen in the very deer park of the town of Peterborough, and in all the woods that stretch from the same town to Stamford. And in the night, the monks heard them sounding and... this says winding their horns. Now, that they may mean winding their horns, as in blowing into the horn. I don't know why you would wind a horn. I mean...
I would just say sounding their horns and call it a day.
I'm quoting the article, and the article does... It reads in today's English winding, but I think they mean winding, as in blowing into the horns.
Right.
How would you wind a horn? I don't know. It might be a thing. I don't know. But yeah, that's what it says.
One more for the audience. If you know, let us know.
Yeah. Witnesses said that the hunt numbered between 20 and 30, and the event went on for 9 weeks, ending at Easter. So there you go. It would have been nice if the chroniclers would have actually said what the disaster was. Maybe the abbot was a disaster. Maybe he himself was the disaster. I get the implication that was it, and that he was the disaster. But, anyway.
Could be.
Yeah. Now, down the ages, the Wild Hunt has been adapted to incorporate other gods and folk heroes, such as King Arthur and Sir Francis Drake. At Cadbury Castle in Somerset, there is an old lane called King Arthur's Lane, and it is said to, on wild winter nights, ring to the sound of the king and his hounds rushing on down by the lane. There you go.
Fantastic.
So, yeah. All right, moving away from that, it is also thought that the role of Wotan's Wild Hunt, I'll tell you, say that 5 times really fast, in Yuletide influenced the Dutch figure Sinterklaas, who, is the counterpart in the USA of Santa Claus.
If you remember, in The Miracle on 34th Street, the little girl at the department store spoke Dutch, and she called him Sinterklaas, and that's when the other little girl started to believe in Santa Claus because he could speak Dutch.
Well, there you go. Was she hunted down by the Wild Hunt at some point in that film?
Not in that film.
No.
Maybe in the sequel.
Okay, that would have been interesting. Now, you made a quick reference to this. In popular culture, I have some examples, and you already alluded to it. A Stan Jones American song from 1948, Ghost Riders in the Sky, which tells of cowboys chasing the devil's cattle in the sky. Marvel Comics Thor, the Wild Hunt appears, led by, and here's where I get killed by comic book fans, but I'll give it a go, Malekith the Accursed. God. Okay. And he also appears in the Hellboy comics. Not him, the Wild Hunt also appears in the Hellboy comics. Probably more known to people today, it appears in the Witcher novels. The Wild Hunt appears in the Witcher novels and is actually the subtitle of the game, The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, and it's in there, in that game, but it's also referenced in the previous 2 Witcher games as well. And it also appears in the game Assassin's Creed Valhalla as part of the, and here we go again, Oscuria, yeah, that, I'm not trying that again, festival, which is like a,
Oscuria?
I think it, Oscuria, yeah, probably sounds nothing like that when it's pronounced, as I've found with a lot of words. But anyway, yeah, that's in an update in the game, and that's part of it. So even in today's culture, the Wild Hunt is still a thing. It's sort of endured for a great many years.
Fascinating.
There you go. So, that is the Wild Hunt segment. Now, I believe that you have more information. Actually relates to the Black Forest and stuff about that.
Yeah, I do have one that I found particularly about the Wild Hunt.
Outstanding.
The story goes, on October 1st, 1328, 47 people led by Berthold Müller. Muller was a Strasbourg merchant whose daughter had been suffering for months with illness and fever. He promised God that if she recovered, he would go on a pilgrimage to the Swiss monastery of Eisleben and honor the Black Madonna statue kept there. Talk about butchering names. Here I go. It's my turn now.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, lo and behold, the daughter recovers, and off Muller goes with his wife, daughter, and a group of locals, all with their own particular reasons for wanting to go on the journey. On October 10th, the group made it to the Black Forest. Now, they had decided that even though there were many tales of dangers of going through these woods, they decided to go anyway because the path offered a shortcut which saved them about 3 days of travel. And this would have been considerable since they were going at a slow pace of about 12 miles a day. That 3 days...
That is a considerable saving.
Yeah, that shortcut was really important, only making that kind of distance.
Yeah.
However, when they got to the monastery, only 9 of them were left. And this is the story they told. One of the men with the group, named Kurt, was on watch while the others slept. He had been brought along as a guard. for the group. And he was on watch while the others were sleeping. He said that during the night, a massive wind blew through the area where they had their camp. And when I say massive wind, I'm talking about hurricane level tree bending wind. By this time, Mueller had joined him, and the first thing that they noticed was the sound of horns.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt claimed that they didn't sound anything like the horns that human hunters used at the time. This was something
Winding horns,
strange.
winding horns, possibly.
Winding horns.
Yeah,
Possibly. Maybe there's your winding horns.
yeah.
Well, this woke up the other members of the group, and the older folks said that these horn sounds were the sounds of the wild hunt. They told the others that when you hear this sound coming close to your home, you should close the door, extinguish the lights, and don't look out of any windows until you don't hear the sound anymore. Now, all of these things I can totally see myself pretty much doing without instruction. So I can see how that was the plan.
Yeah, of course, I would be the opposite. I would be opening the window, leaning outside with a big torch, or, like shouting.
I'd be under the bed.
Yeah, what the hell is that out there? Let me go out and investigate, because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, well, this particular group, they weren't at home, and they didn't have a door or windows to close. They were kind of left outside to experience what was about to happen full on.
Yeah.
And what they claimed they saw was a figure riding on a tall black horse, leading dozens of other riders on black horses. They had wild dogs following along with them. The entity leading the group is believed to be the manifestation of the pagan god Vodun or Odin, who Christians thought of as a demon.
Wow.
Well, during all of this, members of the group witnessed their travel mates one at a time become surrounded by a pale blue light that caused their bodies to completely dry up, as if they had been dead thousands of years. And when this would happen, one of the dogs would come and drag the corpse off into the darkness. And this was happening one at a time. They literally said they watched one at a time as their travel mates began to be taken by the dogs. Then they claimed that Odin began pointing at some of the travelers who would then go and mount a horse and join the manifestation as if they were in some kind of trance. With 9 of the original group left, Odin then gestured for them to leave the forest, and that's what they did. When he pointed go, they went.
Well, yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So they get to the monastery on October the 13th, and they told about what happened to them. They tried to get an investigation started to find out what happened to their group members that had ridden off with the manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
However, the powers that be, the authorities in charge, said, yeah, you guys must be smoking the chronic, because what happened to you was you got robbed by a gang of robbers, and it scared you so badly that you suffered some kind of mass hallucination, and that'll be the end of that.
Please tell me that is an official quote, that they said you were smoking the chronic. That would be the greatest compliment.
There are no official documents, but I would like to think that it kind of went down in that fashion.
Smoking the chronic.
So there was never any investigation.
In the bong. Yeah, that is fantastic.
What do you think? Do you think they were crazy?
I would like to be the one that said, you must be smoking the chronic, because that would be like the best line, one of the best lines in historical documentation.
Well, I tell you what, now that I've graduated college and I'm focused on becoming a filmmaker, we might just have to make that film.
That would be awesome.
I will give you that part.
I mean, it's a hell of a story to make up, and it's a significant number of the group that that's missing.
Yeah, that's what I always wonder about these things. It's like this story is so
I mean, you're talking
fascinating.
about 47 people and there was 9 of
Yeah,
them left. I mean,
yeah,
you would think if it was just simply a gang of robbers, first of all, why would they just leave 9 people left?
yeah. They don't tend to leave anybody left.
Why wouldn't you, like you say, I mean, even that must be some kind of chronic they were on because, if that rendered you having a mass hallucination, I mean, obviously, you would go by the fact that it might have been a large group of robbers that did it, but
Yeah.
and they were messing with people deliberately, in terms of like leaving so many to survive. Some guy dressed up as Odin and dressed up that way. However, it is somewhat strange why they would just leave like 9 people. Was there any sort of significance to the number? I mean, why would some of the group ride off with them as well?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that is a strange tale.
It's almost like if you believe that it was robbers, then the story they're telling has to be a lie. Because
Yeah.
there's just certain things that they claim that happened that robbers wouldn't do. So you either have to believe them and accept the fact that it was some kind of paranormal, or you have to believe that for some reason they all lied, whether it be the chronic or something happened that would have gotten them in trouble if other people knew. There are official archives at monasteries in the area that do tend to point to this actually being an event that really happened. So,
Yeah, I mean, the event certainly, but the cause of it, I mean, again, why would if it was just a band of highwaymen or whatever, why would certain people in the group think, oh, I know what's a good idea, let's go riding off with these people that just killed members of our party?
right.
That part does seem a little weird, because even if you were under the influence, at some point you're going to sober up and think, what the hell am I doing with all these people? I'm going to go back
Yeah.
over here. I'm going to do one and go back to this place where we should have been going at some point and turn up and go, yeah, it was it was a gang of robbers and we escaped. That's a very weird story to sort of blame on being high.
Yeah. Sounds to me like the authorities just didn't want to FAFO, if you know what I mean. They weren't taking any chances.
Yeah, if 47 people can be decimated to 9,
Yeah.
we're not gonna go and mess with this
We're not
group.
going out there.
Couple of local police, law enforcement officers are like, no, you're all right.
Barney Five out in the woods.
Yeah.
Well, the Black Forest is considered one of the most haunted places on Earth. There is a lot going on there.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like a lot of stories from there, isn't there?
Yeah. The Brothers Grimm grew up near the Black Forest, and they spent a lot of their childhood time in Steinau. And this is a town just on the outskirts of the Black Forest. They used the forest as a backdrop for several of their stories. Some of the most famous were Hansel and Gretel, Little Red Riding Hood, and Rapunzel. The Black Forest is also home to Freiburg Cathedral. Is that correct? One of
think
these
so.
days, if you keep listening to us, you will literally hear the quality of our pronunciations grow with this podcast.
Well, I hope so. I think you are correct though, because I know there's a football team called FC Freiburg. So
Yeah, Freiburg Cathedral. And this, Aidy, is the only Gothic church tower within the current borders of Germany that was completed in the Middle Ages.
well,
It survived bombing raids in November of 1944, and it stands intact today. You can actually visit.
right.
The cathedral has a history of many ghost stories and is a popular stop on a lot of ghost tours in the area.
This sounds like a kind of place I need to visit.
Well, it sounds like the stonemason that worked on some of the statues must have been some of your people. Because the coolest thing that I found out about Freiburg Cathedral is the story of the mooning gargoyle. Now, this statue was said to be created by a stonemason who was hired to create all the statues for the cathedral, but then he wasn't paid by the city council. Imagine that.
Well,
So in his disgust, he created one statue bent over with his backside pointed right at the city council building across the street.
so he
Now
should.
I saw a picture of this statue and it is definitely mooning somebody.
Good. They
The
deserve
full
it for
moon
not
has
paying.
risen. Yeah. Another castle, Schlossbergen, is subject to numerous ghostly tales. One being that of a treasure that's hidden somewhere on the grounds by a noble family who buried it while they were being invaded.
Right.
Now, this story says that the treasure has never been found. I'm thinking that maybe you and I need to go find it.
Probably not going to find it though.
Do you think if we did, they'd even let us have it?
No,
I don't think so either.
no.
It'd be like,
No,
yeah,
I
thanks
think-
for
I think
doing the hard
There
work.
are, in seriousness, I think stuff like that, when you find it, it's owned by that country. Even if you live in that, even if you're a native, I think like over here, if I was to say dig in my back garden and unearth say a bundle of Roman coins, I do believe that I have to hand them over. I'm pretty certain of that.
Right. They'd have to know I found it first.
I'll actually say that if I own the land, I'm not too sure about that. But if it's certainly, say you were like going through the woods and for some reason it was partly unearthed and you fell over it, you couldn't claim it, I don't think. And mind you, I suppose it's different for each country.
Yeah, I think here, if it would be considered private property.
Yeah.
And depending on what it was, I'm sure that some government entity would try to get involved if we're talking about something that's priceless.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody found the Holy Grail in their backyard, I'm sure some authority figure would come and get it. But other than that, I think it's private property. If you find something that's unidentifiable, you can keep it.
Yeah, the king will probably come and bash you over the head here and take it anyway. And you say, well, it's on my land. And he's like, yeah, but it's my country. So there you go. Probably something like that. It's to be some sort of royal decree or something.
I don't know if any of you listeners are fans of the Curse of Oak Island, but I know that it's a digging team looking for the mysterious treasure that's supposedly buried on Oak Island in Canada. And I know that they've begun finding different artifacts that the Canadian government has said, okay, we need to send in a professional archaeologist to monitor what you're doing out here, and we're going to need to be a part of this. So, yeah, they will get involved if certain things start to pop up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would say anywhere you go, I would say that would be the case.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, if you find something that has been searched for thousands of years and there's only one of the kind, they're not going to let some common person just have it.
Find the Holy Grail in your back garden.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're drinking your tea out of the Holy Grail.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great. It'd cure all my ailments.
Well, moving on from castles, the next story that I found, it tells about the Schwarzwald Hex. It's Hexe, but I'm still going to say Hex. I'm not going to say Hexy. I think it's Hex,
Right.
which is the Black Forest Witch. Now, this story dates back to the 15 and 1600s when, like a lot of other places on the planet, witch trials, witch trials, I can't speak today, were in full force. Many people were tortured until they confessed to doing the witchcraft, and then they were properly executed for the witchcraft that they probably didn't even do.
No.
Torture can make you confess to a lot of things. But,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I always liked that. There was always depicted. It's like, just confess and we'll stop torturing you.
Yeah.
And you confess and then you get burnt
you.
at the stake. And it's
Yeah.
like, that
stop
sort of
torturing
sucks,
you.
isn't it? We either torture you to death until you confess. And then when you confess, we'll burn you at the stake. It's like, is there a part of this where the person is actually innocent? It doesn't really doesn't appear, rather, to actually have a state of innocence, does it?
No, there seems to be a flaw in that whole witch trial thing. I heard that they drowned them
But I was
just
about to say, the witch dunking, where they put them in a chair, dunk them, and if they floated, they were a witch, and if they drowned, they were innocent. It's like,
yeah, seems counterproductive.
Yeah, I think like there's a flaw in the investigation, guys. Like there has to be a part where the innocent person gets to like live. That's usually how that
what
works.
What a novel concept.
Yes.
Well, the Black Forest witch contradicts the evil depiction of witches from the time.
Oh, that won't go down well.
No, she is said to be a symbol of nature's wisdom and mystery and is a historical figure representing women healers all throughout history.
Let me guess. She got burnt at the stake.
Well, some say she's still out there.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. Witches are most celebrated in the Black Forest, mostly during Carnival on Walpurgis Night. And this is on May the 1st.
Right.
During this celebration, there are parades where people dress up in costumes and wear masks called larvae, Larve.
I would say larvae, but then that's like an infant stage of an insect.
Yeah, well, these masks they're carefully and intricately carved by a master wood carver, honoring the long tradition of wood carving in this area. Mm-hmm. And something else that's interesting about the name larvae is it's a Latin word and it means ghosts.
Well, shiver me timbers.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
The final story that I have mentions the Weissfrau. I did it. I tried really hard not to do the WV thing, and I screwed it up and said Weiss.
It's off. At this point, I think we've got an A for effort.
Hey, we're trying.
We're trying. We've had a lot of wonderful pronunciations. Yeah, to contend with on this one. We went full out. So yeah, I'm I think we're all right.
Yeah, we'll do anything to get comments.
Yeah.
Give us your opinion of our
grade
please art.
Please don't give me my opinion on my pronunciation because I know it's rubbish. So
well, the Weissfrau, or the White Lady, is a very common apparition. Every town in Franconia, which is a northern region of Bavaria, has a White Lady story. They're not all the same, but they do have similar elements. Wow. Overall, she is a pale female apparition in a flowing gown. She has a pale, colorless face and sorrowful eyes. The travelers have come across her as they round a bend while making their way through the forest. Although the stories have their own individuality, many have seen her as either a woman who fell in love with someone forbidden by her family, or a wife waiting for a husband to come home from the war who's never going to come. So those are pretty much the two camps that this manifestation resides in, one or the other.
Right.
Some people claim that this entity tries to lead people deep into the woods to never be seen again. Parents in the area warn their children not to follow the white lady if they see her.
Right. There you go.
There I go. And there's one more story that I found while doing the research about the Black Forest.
Yeah.
It has absolutely nothing to do with ghosts whatsoever. However, I found it fascinating and I felt like it needed some mentioning on the podcast.
Yes.
Apparently, there's an old man who lives somewhere between 30 and 40 years in the Black Forest with his very own wolf pack.
That sounds
He
amazing.
claimed to be, he claimed to be the alpha male of the group. He said he won this role by bringing them food. And I have to be honest, I had to go watch this video just to make sure it wasn't you.
Well, if I were given a chance, it would.
Yeah, I know you have that weird wolf affection thing going on. I bet you would love this.
I would. There's nothing weird about it.
Well, there's several videos about him on YouTube. His name is Werner Freund.
Yep.
I really want to do well with this name because the guy is amazing. Werner Freund.
Yeah.
The locals call him the Wolf Man because he lived amongst the wolves in the Black Forest and eventually established a wolf sanctuary there that is now called Wolfspark Werner Freund. This is a park that's dedicated to the preservation of wolves and is completely free to visit. I'll link you to the video that I watched on him in the show notes as well.
Right.
But I found him fascinating.
Yeah, it was fascinating, that video.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We hope you enjoyed learning more about the Black Forest in Germany. Next week, we have a special treat. Aidy and I have our very own first listener comment.
Yay.
Came in from YouTube. And we're going to be talking about ghost hunting equipment and what we think about the Xbox Kinect as a paranormal
I
device.
can tell you what I think about Xbox Kinect. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Well, yeah, the thing that can't find a grown man in the room.
It certainly is paranormal.
I look forward
Bloody
to that
abnormal.
next week, guys.
Yeah.
Until then, we're getting ourselves out there in more and more places. Posts About Ghosts is now on Spotify and is audio first content on YouTube. You can also subscribe anywhere you get your podcast by using the RSS feed that I'm going to link to in the show notes. All our social media links are on the website at postaboutghosts.com. I spend most of my life on X, formerly known as Twitter, and sometimes still known as Twitter. You're more than welcome to hang out with us there by following at Posts ABT Ghosts on X. Tell us your ghost story by sending us an email to stories@postaboutghosts.com. And just let us know if it's true or fiction. We want to hear all of them. Keep listening to the podcast to hear your story read on the show. Thanks again for listening, guys. You are why we do this. Have a wonderful week. Bye.
Bye.